Hello everyone, today we're going to be covering the Log Universe TryHackMe Premium Room. It's a premium room, and in this room we're going to be exploring log files from various systems and learning how to carve data to adopt a course of action. My name is Joshua Spieshak. I'm a cybersecurity analyst and Blue Team content creator. So let's get started with Task 1, Introduction. Alright, Introduction, Log Universe. In this room, you will learn and experience the various log types generated from different systems and carve data from the log files. Here are also our learning objectives. We're going to learn how to identify and use different log sources. We're going to understand what to expect from different log types. And we're going to gain hands-on experience in data carving from the log files. Here are some room prerequisites: working knowledge of MS Windows and Linux, working knowledge of network and endpoint log systems, and also here are some really helpful rooms such as Intro to Logs, Log Operations, and Windows Event Logs, which you can find here. Yes, this one is free. Log Operations as well. Windows Event Logs is a premium room, but if you can get the premium or max subscription, I would highly recommend this room. And also, since it mentions working knowledge of MS Windows and Linux, and also network and endpoint log systems, I would recommend for these two resources. So if you go to Dashboard, actually, never mind. Let's go to Learn. You go to Paths. Let me just open these two. CyberSec 101. I believe the other one's going to be pre-security. Yes. Awesome. Alright, the Cybersecurity 101 is going to help you better understand like the fundamentals, like Linux, Windows, command line, like Windows command line and Linux shells, networking concepts, which is super important, like protocols, all that good stuff. And also you get to use Wireshark, TCP dump, and Nmap. Lots of fun. Cryptography, exploitation basics, web hacking, offensive security tooling, defensive security fundamentals, such as logs, IR, digital forensics, SOC, security solutions, defensive security tooling, and much, much more. There's a lot of really awesome and beneficial content, so if you wanted to get a better understanding of concepts that would be beneficial for this room, such as prerequisites, TryHackMe has you covered in terms of this learning paths, which is going to be the Cybersecurity 101. And also, if you're brand new and you're starting from scratch, I would highly recommend the pre-security room, because it's going to help you like better understand like computer fundamentals, operating system basics, Windows, Linux again, software basics, network fundamentals, how the web works, attacks and defensives. So overall, if you wanted to get like a more like foundational understanding and overall like better understand like the fundamentals such as networking, operating systems, software, all that good stuff, the pre-security and cybersecurity 101 learning paths have a lot of really great sections and are constantly being updated and maintained. And overall, they're just a lot of fun to go through. So highly recommend to check these out and overall go through these rooms and have fun learning. All right. Back to the log universe room. Read the task above, which you have done, and correct answer. Awesome. All right, just to point this out, I've already done this room, but I'm going to help you better understand the problem-solving methodology so that you understand how to get the answer. So let's begin with task 2, treasure among the lines, logs. All right, what are logs? Logs are the footprints of digital components and invaluable tools and resources in the storytelling of systems, applications, and networks. However, harnessing the power of logs is a challenging task. First, you need to understand the different types, formats, offerings, and importance of logs. Then, you can start to uncover the insights, patterns, and treasures among the lines. Logs also provide visibility, context, and carry evidence value in security operations, incident response, threat hunting, compliance, cyber resilience, and cyber maturity. Most importantly, the ability to correlate simultaneous and distinct events among distributed networks and systems is also achieved with the visibility and context gained by logs. No matter what kind of security operation is being implemented, the logs are one of the essential components. So if you just wanted to get a better understanding of visibility, context, and evidence value in your environment, and also for security operations, etc., logs are very important because they provide that, but also they are the footprints of digital components and invaluable tools and resources, and the storytelling of systems, applications, and networks. So if you wanted to understand what happened at a particular time, so on and so forth, logs are a great way to help you better understand what happened, who was associated with it, how it happened, and much more. Also, we got data sources as well. There are various log sources to deal with, so categorizing them is a great practice to start. And data sources can be divided into two main categories. We have physical and we have virtual. So starting off with physical, we have facilities and areas where critical systems are hosted. And we have security camera surveillance and access logs of physical entry and exit from system control rooms and offices. Now pertaining to virtual, we have network components such as routers and switches, plug-in devices, operating systems, and much more. And also important to mention, note that each data source produces different logs and serves a different purpose. The Intro to Logs room, which can be found here, covers common log types, formats, and standards. If you're unfamiliar with the detail of logs, you can find more information in this room. So if you go to Intro to Logs, what an awesome animation and the picture. Oh, that's so awesome. Yes, in this room, the learning objectives are that you will understand the importance of logs, explore various types of logs, and gain hands-on experience detecting and defeating adversaries through log analysis. So overall, if you wanted to learn more and get hands-on experience with log analysis, the Intro to Logs is a really great room. You might see me do it. Yeah, I'm going to definitely have this one on my radar. Awesome. But yes, like what the Log Universe room mentions, lots of logs. The Intro to Logs room covers common log types, formats, and standards. And if you want to learn more about the details of logs, highly recommend checking out the Intro to Logs room. All right, data specifications. We have learned that multiple data sources generate different logs for different purposes. However, to avoid log noise and to enable log management, correlation, and investigation, some minimum qualification requirements must be present in each log, and common base qualifications are listed below, such as the system which created the log creation time or timestamp, date, time, and time zone, the event that caused the log to be created, the message, the severity of the log, like low, medium, and high, or critical, and the source associated with the log, such as IP and port, MAC address, username, or system name. We're going to answer some questions below. We read the task above. Yes, we did. And no answer needed. Correct answer. Nice. All right, now task 3, tool set and hints. Okay, cool. We can set up our virtual environment. Nice. To successfully complete this room, you'll need to set up your virtual environment. So to do that, this involves starting the lab machine, ensuring you're equipped with the necessary tools and access to tackle the challenges ahead. So let's do that. Let's start lab machine. It's going to start on the right, so let's give it some time to load. And pertaining to our VM and tool set, you have a custom Ubuntu machine with an open source log parser tool, ULogViewer, and sample logs to investigate details, and sample log files to discover each covered log file in practice. And also here's some available interfaces such as in-browser access, data sets, and log details, Windows, Linux, and Apache logs. So for us to get started, we need to start the lab machine by pressing the Start Lab button at the top of this task, which you have done. And this machine will start in split screen view, which we see here. And in case the VM is not visible, we're going to use the blue Show Split View button at the top right of the page. So it's probably going to be here somewhere. And then there are a variety of tools in log analysis and discovery phases. Each tool has advantages and disadvantages. So, the tool preference varies between analysts and the environment. And one of the most important details of the log analyst tool is flexibility, compatibility, and support for parsing multiple log formats. And we will use ULogViewer to parse and analyze various log file types in this room. And details are listed below. So for us to learn more about ULogViewer, we can go here, and it's a cross-platform, agent-native, universal log viewer. What an awesome name. We got to see some images, and I'm going to notice, we got to download. It looks to be relatively new, 2026, very good. With changes, dependencies, and I believe it's completely free. Yes, it is. Sweet, so highly recommend checking it out. And also, if we click on the link, it'll take us here. Yes, I believe all downloads, installation, upgrade, blue on hit. Yeah, so it is free, I believe. Okay, so pro. Okay, so there's a pro version of this. But overall, it's a very awesome tool, and we're going to use ULogViewer in our Log Universe room to complete the tasks. But if you do want to learn more about the tool, here's the official webpage right here, and also the GitHub URL as well. Awesome. Now we got our lab machine. Let's view in full screen. Connecting to remote machine. Come on, technology. Nice. And we see our tool right here. Nice. All right. The application logo is located in the desktop folder. And once you double click on it, it will start. So let's do that. Let's go here. Double click on it. We can see the location, ULogViewer, downloads ULogViewer. So let's start. And we see our logs that we're going to investigate more. And we're here. Sweet. All right, the application will ask you to choose a log file format to parse. And there are 4 pinned options ready to use: Apache Access log files, Linux system log files, raw text and file, and Windows event log files. And don't worry if you don't understand what those type of log files are. They're going to be covered more in the upcoming tasks. And also, we're going to get hands-on practice with ULogViewer as well. And then the attached VM provides the tools and sample data sets required to work in this room. So for example, task 4, we're going to deal with Windows, task 5 Linux, and task 6 Apache access.log, and the error.log. And I believe A. What's happening? Alright, if it's been... Alright, there we go. Log, yeah, we got Apache, Linux, raw text, and Windows event log files. Ready to go. Import. Nice. Alright, refer to the following explanations in case you open the application and couldn't select a profile and ended up with an empty screen, similar to the run shared above. And this is the steps in which how we would use the tool. And in addition to the processes discussed above, the image below... Actually, let me just use this tab just to make it easy. Alright, in addition to the processes discussed above, the image below shows what to expect after data parsing and viewing the log message with filter options. Nice. Alright, we read this task and we're going to proceed to the next one. So task 4, zoom in Windows event logs. Alright. Windows event log anatomy. So what are event logs? Let me explain. Windows event logs provide in-depth footprint information on the system, security, and applications installed on a Windows operating system. Windows provides a generous amount of logs, and you will need to activate them according to your visibility needs and capacity. Remember, the login scope is fully configurable, and the default settings are not enough for the current state of the threats. Being comfortable with logs is a vital skill, but it's also important to have the general characteristics before deep diving into each log source's details. Now, let's take a look at the Windows event log characteristics, and below are the main specifications of the Windows event logs. Let's just format an extension right here. File location. The log files directory can differ according to the Windows OS version. MS Windows changed the event log file directory location with Windows Vista. So if you're using Vista new, your event logs are going to be found here. Anything 2003 and earlier, this is your file path. And your tool is going to be Event Viewer, and alternative tools can also be used as well. And as explained in the table above, Windows event logs can be generated and stored in a variety of extensions and formats. The alternatives here provide great flexibility in the logging and analysis process, allowing the environment to be painlessly set up for the analysis phase to take advantage of alternative concepts. Now, after getting familiar with the log file formats, it is time to identify the event log file categories. By default, there are two main log categories in Windows, and the details are shown in the table below. Windows logs, right here, and your details, such as built-in Windows event logs. The main focus is system-level activities, not customizable, and gives insights into the overall systems. Now it's switching over to applications and services logs, which can be found here. More specific logs on individual applications and services. After that screenshot may be hard to look at, so let me see if I can. All right, there you go. Here is the application and services log screenshot. And what these logs are is that they are more specific logs on individual applications and services. Applications and services can create their custom log formats, and it gives insight on particular applications and services. And we've already mentioned that Windows systems are very generous when it comes to logging. Windows systems can generate hundreds of logs for the two categories mentioned above, and some are commonly used and others need to be activated by configuration. Now, let's look at common log files and find out what information they provide. And the table below highlights the commonly used event logs such as Windows logs, application, system, security, setup, forward events, Microsoft Windows PowerShell operational. And let me zoom back out. Yes, so that way you can see it better. And Windows PowerShell. Nice. All right. The following table breaks down the anatomy also. Before I mention that, good catch. We also have category, log channel, and details. So if you wanted to learn more about the commonly used event logs, you can see the details associated with them in this column. So for application, we have application and software logs, system, security, setup, forwarded events, Microsoft Windows PowerShell / operational, and then just Windows PowerShell. Awesome. All right, the following table breaks down the anatomy of the event logs and explains the main elements. In case you can't recall what a Windows event log file looks like, use the given hints and image. So we can click here, and you can open and view the details of the Windows event log files with the Event Viewer tool. So if we go to our split screen and open up Event Viewer, and details can be seen in multiple formats as shown in the images. And this is what Event Viewer looks like. We see Windows logs and application services logs. Additionally, details can be seen in multiple formats as shown in the images. And the first image shows the default view option, and the second image shows the detailed view option. So we got the default, and we got the detailed on the right. Note, this room focuses on the log file anatomy, so if you're unfamiliar with the given formats and details, please visit the Windows Event Logs room, which can be found here. And you're going to learn more about like what are event logs, Right here, main features and additional feature. Oh, that's sim, my bad. You're going to learn more about, yes. All right, right here, it mentions event logs. Nice. Again, yes, as Defender, blue teamers. Lots of really great stuff associated with event logs. So if you wanted to get a more better understanding over our experience with the different tools, etc. for Windows event logs, highly recommend checking out this room. It is a premium, so keep that in mind. But if you just wanted a resource to understand better Windows event logs and get practical hands-on experience, definitely recommend checking out this room. Awesome. All right, now let's cover the main parts of the log file, such as log name, source, the source which generated the event, event ID. It is a number that identifies the event type and provides more insights. Level. This is the severity of the event, such as information, error, warning, critical, and verbose. And we also have user. User is the name of the user account that triggered the event. And we have log, event date time, which is date and time information when the event occurred. Task category. The type of the event log that highlights the purpose of the log. And common categories can be like process creation, service creation, and log clear. Keywords. Flag attribute that categorizes events. Standard keywords are defined in Windows OS resources, such as none, audit failure, audit successful. And last but not least, we have the computer, which is the host name of the system, and message, log message details. And remember that you will use the ULogViewer to view and filter the logs, which we can see here. And the sample log is parsed as shown in the figure below. And field details are opened by double-clicking on the field or clicking on the View More section. Additionally, PID, process ID, and TID, thread ID, data are beneficial for process tracing, correlation, and understanding the natural flow of events during log analysis. Additionally, the timestamp also plays an essential role in determining which processes and threads were running at a particular time or during the workflow, and if applicable, the call times of the child processes and threads created by the user or execution flow. Overall, learning the anatomy of the Windows log files is essential, but you will also need to know the indicative event log IDs and details. Therefore, you'll be able to track and understand the details of potential anomaly or an intrusion attempt. Some useful Windows event log IDs are listed below. And also, before I go into this, before I describe more about this, I want to provide you guys with a really beneficial resource. So the really beneficial resource that I want to talk about is DFIR scripts. Alright, and what this resource does, it is completely free. It is a self-contained, offline capable, it contains self-contained, offline capable DFIR reference pages for Windows artifact analysis. And you can download any tool as a single HTML file and use it anywhere. So since we're talking about event IDs, we have a reference for Windows Security Event ID, and also sysmon as well. And there's much more. Lots of really great stuff here. So what is this? Sigma, that's awesome. Attack mapping, minor attack, and usage of and schema files as well. Alternative sources and references. And all tools are open source and free to use. Yay! Alright, pertaining to event IDs, pertaining to security, here is a really great resource to help you understand the event IDs associated with login and log off, account log on, account management, DS access, detail tracking, log on and log off, object access, privilege use, and system. So if you wanted a resource to better understand security event IDs pertaining to Windows and also sysmon event IDs, highly recommend checking out this website. So the URL can be found here. and it's completely free, and the tools mentioned in this website are open source. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to the author of this awesome resource. The author can be found here, and this is their GitHub page. And to access these pages, click on dfr-scripts.github.io. It will take you to the GitHub. Nice. And I believe, hold on. DFR scripts, DFR reference, event logs, actually. And just overall, shout out to the author. This is a really awesome resource, yes. So if you wanted to access this resource, here is the URL. And also for our Linux friends and overall us dealing with Linux, here's a Linux forensics artifact reference as well to better understand the logs associated with authentication session and much, much more. So like I said, this is a completely free and open source resource that is very beneficial for Windows forensics and overall DFR pertaining to Windows and Linux. And here's the URL to access it. And again, all credit goes to the author as well. Awesome. All right, now account management. Here is your very useful Windows event log IDs, which are mentioned below. So we got 4720, 4722, 4723, 4724, 4725, and 4726. And also, if you wanted another beneficial resource, you can also check out the Windows Security Log Encyclopedia. And if you click on any of these, for example, 4720 pertaining to account management, you can learn more about it and also have free security log resources as well. And also they provide an example as well. Awesome. Yes. So I highly recommend checking out also the ultimatewindowsecurity.com website. And if you wanted to learn more about particular event IDs, this website has you covered. All right, we got account log on 4624, 4625, 4634, and 4647 for log off. 4779 for session disconnect. We also have scheduled tasks. For example, if attackers want to do persistence, scheduled tasks is the way in which attackers would conduct persistence. You have 4698, 4702, and 4699. And finally, security. 1100, which is login service disabled. 1102, log deletion. And 1116, malware detection. And note that each source produces different logs for different purposes. The Intro to Logs room covers common log types, formats, and standards. And you will find more information in this space if you're still getting familiar with logs. You can also visit the Windows event logs and sysmon rooms for more details about the event you're interested in. So if you click on sysmon, it will take you to the room. It's a premium room, but sysmon is awesome, so yeah, this room looks awesome. Really beneficial resources, and it's a lot of fun. So if you can get the premium or max subscription, highly recommend checking out the sysmon and Windows Event Logs room. And now, switch to given VM, which we can see here, and analyze the Windows questions log file using ULogViewer. So we're going to analyze Windows questions log file. So let's import. I believe we can import logs. Yes, we can. All right, downloads, desktop. Okay. This PC. Okay. Let me just do this. Windows event log files, because this is task 4, and then let us add. No, I don't want that. We're gonna add log files. There we go. And we want to go to, where do we want to go? We want to go to C Windows System Event Logs. But I believe they mentioned the logs for this room. See toolset and hints. You got logs. It has for winsample.evtx and winquestions.evtx. So if I there you go, desktop. When we're going to answer and use, which one are we going to use? Windows questions. So this one, winquestions.evtx event log. Actually, let me view in full screen so that way we can see it better. And then let me exit split view so we can see the questions better on this side. Nice. All right, that looks better. Sweet. Now we got our event logs in ULogViewer to view them, and we can see the different fields and the values as well. Very cool. All right, we're gonna answer some questions. What is the thread ID of the user creation event? So we're gonna try to find the thread ID, and we're looking for the event ID associated with user creation. So if you scroll up, let's look at account management. And user account creation is going to be event ID 4720. So let's go look at PID event. So that's going to be our event IDs. Let's go look at 4720 for user account creation. And we want to find the thread ID. So it's going to be our TID, and that's going to be 744. So let's see if that's our answer. Nice. All right, next. What is the account name that creates the new user? So now we want to find the account name that creates a new user. So let's go back. And we see a subject username, which is going to be the user that creates the new user. So that's going to be administrator. Awesome. And also the name of the created account name. It's not reconnecting to remote machine. It's administrator. There we go. And what is the subject login ID value of the account reset attempt event? So the subject log ID value of the account reset attempt. So let's go see. Account reset is going to be 4724. So let's go back and filter by 4724 as our event. And we're going to try to find the subject login ID value. So that's going to be 0x4B666. Nice. All right, task 5, zoom in Linux logs. Linux logs anatomy. Like Windows event logs, Linux logs provide in-depth footprint information on the system, security, and applications installed. Again, the logging scope is fully configurable, and the default settings are not enough for the current state of the threats. So let's take a deep dive into the Unix-like system logs. So we have the default format or extension, .log. And important to mention, syslog stores logs in clear text format, and systemd and journald stores logs in binary format. And here's where the directory of the log files can be in Linux. But important to note, the directory of the log files can differ according to the use services and configuration file. Still, most Unix-like operating systems share the same directory to store the log files, which is var log. And by default, we have the system log viewer, and we have alternative tools and utilities that can be used to view clear text log files, such as cat, tail, more, less, grep, awk, and lnav. And don't worry if you don't understand those commands. Let me help you out. So, please define what are these Linux commands and how they can be very beneficial for log analysis associated with Linux. So we got cat tail more less grep awk in lnav. Paste. Please define and output this information in a table format. All right, so here's a breakdown of these essential Linux commands and how they can help you efficiently analyze system and application logs. So you have the commands here, you have the definitions, and you have the key benefit for log analysis, such as, for example, for cat, it means to concatenate and display full file format, file content. Tail, it outputs the last part, or default 10 lines of a file. More, less, grep, that's important. Searches text using specific regular expression patterns. Awk, scripting language for pattern scanning and processing, really powerful. And lnav, which is an advanced terminal-based log file navigator. We have some practical examples as well. Additionally, there's another really helpful website that I want to mention. I believe it is SX64. And what this does is that it is a command line reference. Yes, I do not want you having my data. And so if you wanted to learn more about a Linux command here, this is a really great website and it's completely free. For example, for awk, it's like a man page, like a manual to help you better understand the command. And also they have examples, and just overall, it's a really great resource as well, and more resources. Yeah, this is a really awesome resource, so recommend checking out ss64.com to learn more about command lines and overall commands with Linux, Mac, CMD, and much more. Alright, also some log files can be read only with the corresponding binary. Journal CTL, who, fail log, last log, and DMSG. Now let's talk about these logs. So, clear text formatted logs. Clear text logs can be viewed and analyzed using multiple tools, as highlighted in the above tool. So all these logs that are mentioned are clear text logs that can be viewed and analyzed using multiple tools, such as these. And now, these logs are ones that require specific binary to view, such as some binary formatted logs can be viewed and analyzed only, this is important to know, only with the corresponding tool. For instance, for fail logs only, you need to go to this directory and you need to use the command or specific binary to view them, which is fail log. Same goes with WTMP, which is associated with active login records. And the specific binary to view them is who. Last logins, var log, last log. And the specific binary, last log. Last but not least. And finally, in kernel ring buffer logs, var log, DMSG. And here's your binary, DMESG. Nice. Alright, the syslog file structure is defined by RFC 524 to 526. 5426, there we go. Also, it is widely used and easy to process with native granular system tools like tail and grep, which I mentioned. And the structure details are explained in the following table. These tables are awesome. Alright, we got timestamp, date and time information when the event occurred, very important. Host name, the machine name that created the message, application process, the application that created the message, process ID, which is the process ID number of the application that created the message, message ID that identifies the type of message, and finally we have message. So we got message ID and we got message. Nice. Message is the message itself, encoded in UTF-8. And while RFC defines the main structure, there are alternative implementations of message presentations. The common structure IETF is shown below. And also you can read more about it as well. We got sample logs. Okay. The above log entries showcase events on temp server that include crucial memory related events. It shows that processes with IDs 5678, my app, 9876, database, and 1234, my app, caused memory programs and resulted in process terminations, memory limit violations, swap space exhaustion, and low memory warnings, ultimately requiring reboots for recovery and stability. Now, let's switch to the given VM and analyze the Linux log file using ULogViewer. Remember that you will use the ULogViewer and select the Linux system log files profile to view and filter the logs. The sample log is parsed as shown in the figure below. And then we're going to answer some questions. We got many questions. This is going to be fun. Alright, first we need to switch from Windows event logs to Linux logs. So let's do that. Let's open a new tab. Let's click on Linux system log files. And let's look at add logs. We want to look at, I believe, select. So we want both. Cool. Alright, we're going to look at access.log and error.log. Or Linux.log. Alright, Linux.log. Oh yes. Because task 5 is Linux logs, so we're going to look at Linux logs here. And then at task 6, we're going to look at miscellaneous logs. So probably the Apache logs. But in this case, for task 5, let's go look at Linux logs and answer the questions. Alright, so first question. What is the number of successful sync events done by the NTPD service? So let's go look for, what do they want? They want the number of successful sync events. So let's go look for NTPD. And we want successful what? Sync events. Okay. Oh, that's gonna be a lot. sync. And is there a way how I can? Ooh. Wait, can I count? So I gotta. So if I can filter successful sync events. So let me look at synchronize. There we go. Our successful sync events are going to be the ones that are synchronized, and we have 28 as our events and number. So let's go see if 28 is our answer. Nice. Alright, which user logged in using the SSHD service? So instead of synchronize, let's look at SSHD. And we see an accepted public key for user THM John-P and our IP address and port. So let's see if THM John-P is our answer. It is. Sweet. Alright, what is the PID number of the Apache web server? So let's go look at Apache. And we want the PID number of the Apache web server. And I see 5678. So let's see if that's our answer. Nice. All right, which service is stopped due to RAM issues? So let's look at RAM. Not RAN. RAM. I see an NGINX web server stopped due to insufficient RAM. So let's see if NGINX is our answer. Nice. All right, fine. All right. Last but not least, which service is stopped due to CPU issues? So now instead of RAM, we're going to look at CPU issues. So let's filter by CPU. And we see Apache Tomcat stopped due to excessive CPU usage. So hopefully our answer is going to be Apache Tomcat. It is. And finally, what is the timestamp of the second time reset event? And we have a hint. We want the whole timestamp data. So we want the second time reset event. So let's filter on reset. And we see a timestamp of 15, 51, 56, and our date is 327. Check. All right. Task 6, zoom in miscellaneous logs. Our miscellaneous logs, application logs. Miscellaneous logs provide in-depth footprint information on application-based events, giving more insights on application and process-based details that will help analysts in security operations, including monitoring, threat hunting, and incident response. This task will cover the details of Apache logs. We have our format extension here, our file locations. Like I mentioned, make sure to take note of this. And we got our main directory, access logs, and error logs. All right, we got a tool, we got system log viewer, and I mentioned the alternative tools and utilities that can be used to view clear text log files. Here's our awesome table, very nifty, and we got examples, fun. And if you wanted a website to help you better understand the commands and use it as a reference, highly recommend checking out ss64.com. For example, if you wanted to look at, let's just say, LNAV, we got tail main page, and we got a tail command, lnav.org, but I believe, yes, LNAV right here, Advanced Terminal-Based Log File Navigator. Also, as another example, let me give you a better example. Let's do cat. Now we got the cat man page. And now we can see what the cat command is, the syntax, options, and overall really beneficial on how to use the cat command as well. All right, now Apache logs. What is the access.log? Let me explain. Access logs are invaluable records generated by web servers containing essential attributes that form the backbone of effective log analysis. These attributes, including IP addresses, timestamps, HTTP methods, URLs, status codes, and user agent information, play a vital role in web server management and security. These attributes enable administrators and analysts to ensure server health, diagnose programs, detect security threats, and optimize web services for a seamless user experience. Understanding the importance of these attributes is essential before embarking on log analysis, as it provides the baseline for informed decision making and effective web server management. And the anatomy of the Apache access.logs combined log format is detailed in this given table right here. Nice. We got user agent, referral, object size, status, request, timestamp, user ID, no info, and IP. And also, Apache access logs are identified by the common log format and combined log format. Both formats focus on visibility, but serve different purposes. For instance, the standard format is more lightweight and focuses on the basics, capturing only the essentials such as IP, URL, and response. The combined format, on the other hand, captures more details such as referral and user agent data, which is useful for in-depth analysis. And the combined log format structure is shown in the below section right here. We got sample logs. Nice. All right, evaluation. The above log right here shows a client IP 192.168.1.100 made a post request to the API data URL on the server. It also shows that the server responded with a 404 right here, not found status code, and the client was referred by the https www.loguniverse-gsm.com page using the Mozilla web browser on the Windows 10 operating system. And note that the web browser and operating system information can be manipulated or changed by an attacker crafting custom packets or using an attack or audit tool. And sample log is parsed as shown in the figure below. Nice. Now let's transition to talking about error logs. Error logs are an essential component of web server management, providing critical insight into system health and potential issues that can impact server performance and user experience. These logs capture essential attributes such as timestamps, error messages, file paths, and originating IP addresses. Additionally, these attributes are essential for administrators and analysts to diagnose and resolve errors, identify vulnerabilities, and maintain server security. Before delving into error log analysis, it is vital to understand the importance of these attributes as they provide the foundation for proactive problem resolution and continuous improvement of web server stability and reliability. Awesome. Alright, so the anatomy of the Apache error log is detailed in the given table. So if you wanted to understand what an Apache error log looks like, this table does a really great job of helping you better understand the attributes, such as timestamp, level, process ID, source file, error status, client IP, and actual log message. And important to note, unlike access.log, error.log is identified under a single format named error log format and focuses on providing additional information to the log message. The structure is shown in the below section here. And what this log is, that is broken down, the above log file showcases a loopback IP address, which means an internal request made to the resource favokn.ico located on the same server. The message part highlights that the directory usr local apache 2 hgdocs doesn't contain the requested file. And this error is valuable as it shows a missing resource on the server. This can help administrators to identify and fix the resource availability issue. Also, note that this is a loopback address 127.0.0.1 in IP version 6. Now, let's switch to given VM and use the tools and data sets to answer the questions. Remember that you will use the ULogViewer to view and filter the logs, and the sample log is parsed as shown in the figure below. Note that you will need to use the raw text in files format for the apache.error.log file. And so let's go answer these questions first with the access.log file. And then after we answer these questions, we're going to use the error.log file to answer the rest of the questions. So let's start with the access.log file. And our first question, what is the user's IP address who accessed secure.html? And we have a hint. CyberChef can defang. Yes, because we want the IP address in defang format. Nice. Let's go here, open new tab, Apache access log files, and we want to import the Apache access.log. And now we got our information. Very cool. All right, what is the user's IP address who accessed secure.html? So let's go look for secure.html. And we got, there's a user that seems to be ADV3654. And we have a source IP, so they want the source. Okay, so they want the user's IP address to access secure.html. So we see that it is 203.45.78.102. And so in order to defang this, we need to use CyberChef. So let's go do that. Open up CyberChef. And then we're going to type in our IP. So we're going to do 203.45.78.102. Let me confirm it's correct. Yes, it is. And then we're going to, for operations, type defang IP, defang IP addresses. And what this does is that it takes a IP version 4 or IP version 6 address and defangs it. Meaning the IP becomes invalid, removing the risk of accidentally utilizing it as an IP address. And then we got our answer. Nice. All right, next. Which user failed to access the settings page? And we have a hint. Oh, no, we don't have a hint. But let's go look at settings. So now, settings. And we see 404, which means error. Not good. And we got user buyer 986. Nice. All right, which user accessed the malicious page? And we have a hint. Status codes are important to notice. Regex hint. Payload, param, password, show. So let's go look at malicious. All right, so we see this all looks benign. Can I scroll down? Yes, I can. Oh, I see malware.php vulnerability exploit. I believe since this is, get virus. It's going to be one of these two. What do you want? User access to malicious page. So malware.php payload equals 1, I believe. Malware. This is going to be our malicious page right here because malware.php payload equals 1. So our answer is going to be ADV8779. Sweet. All right, so finally, before we transition to using the error.log file, what is the user agent that discovered the malicious page? So since we found the user, we're now going to find the user agent. And that is going to be right here. Nicto 2.1.5 OpenVAS. It's a vulnerability scanner. Nice. All right, so now we're going to transition to using the error.log file to answer the rest of the questions. Now, what is the PID of the process that causes permission issue? Error. So let's go open a new tab. We want raw text and files because we're going to be looking at the error.log. Add error.log. Nice. And we want to find the PID of the process that causes permission error. So let's see error. Can I scroll down? I see file permissions. They want permission error. So you want the 7654? Nice. Sweet. So what is the request that contains an invalid method? So let's go look at invalid. Method in request, and the request that contains an invalid method is going to be x8003010001. So this is going to be our answer right here. Cool. All right, what pattern match triggered the access error in mod security? And we have a hint. Don't forget to also use the quotation marks around the pattern. All right, so we want to search for mod security. And what we want to do is look at what pattern match triggered the access error. All right, we see access denied with code 403 phase 2, and we see a pattern match mentioned select dot plus from. So let's see if that is our answer because it's mentioned twice and associated with pattern match. Sweet. All right, finally, what is the path value of the file that tries to remove data from the system? So let's look at remove data. Okay. Path. All right, so now we're gonna no. All right, let's go look. We got invalid methods, mod security, valid URI. What are we looking at? Path value of the file that tries to remove data from the system. To remove data. Okay. PHP warning, valid URI. Can I scroll up? Alright. PHP fatal error, invalid method. Quest header. File does not match. Client denied. I see a malicious config. Perhaps misspelled or defined by module not included in the server configuration. Failed to open stream. I see that a file was trying to get contents of a sensitive file.txt. They failed to open stream. Connection timed out in var www html script.php. So let's see if that is our answer. Oh no, it's going to be etc httpd config.d malicious.config. Oh, because we got the syntax error. Then if I scroll down, PHP file error, invalid URL. I think I understand it now. So let's go look at. So I see etc http config.d malicious.conf. And what this means is that after this, we see script.exe and then we see file get contents http example.com sensitive.file.txt. So since we're looking for the path value of the file that tries to remove data from the system, it is going to be this. For some reason, that's the answer, so let's go with it. Invalid command rm. So it tries to remove data from the system. So we see a command rm. So let's go see what that is. Rm. Remove files. So that makes more sense. So our path value of the file that tries to remove data from the system, because we see rm mentioned here, is going to be etc httpd config.d malicious.config. Awesome. All right. Conclusion. Congratulations. You just finished the log operations room. In this room, well, it should be log universe. So the typo, but congratulations for finishing this room. In this room, we dive deep into Windows, Linux, and Apache log file configurations attributes, and discovered the data carving points for in-depth log analysis operations by covering Windows event log structure, Linux syslog structure, and Apache access and error log structure. Now, you have a solid understanding of the common log formats and are ready to carve data to adopt a course of action. So it's time to visit these rooms to fire advanced queries, focus on bits of the log files. That sounds fun. All right, answer the questions below. Click and continue learning. No answer needed. Correct answer. Nice. Are you finished all the tasks? And let me terminate the room. All right, and the resources mentioned in this room are the rooms such as Advanced Splunk and Advanced Elk, Sysmon, Windows Event Logs, Intro to Logs, and Log Operations. And we also have the GitHub and official website for the tool. Highly recommend checking it out. DFIR reference or Windows-forensic reference. And for Linux, you would click this and it will take you to Linux forensic artifact reference, and you can see the different tabs here. And all credit goes to the author as well. Here's the GitHub repo and Windows security log and overall ultimatewindowssecurity.com. AI ss64.com to better understand commands, and CyberChef. All right. Hope you had fun listening to me and enjoying the Log Universe TryHackMe Premium Room. I will see you guys in the next walkthrough. Have a great day and keep up the great work. Peace.